All right, let's just dive right into this. And hey, I really need you to stick with me here because we are going to explore one of the most intense, absolute, most immediate scenarios you can possibly imagine. I want you to picture, with completely terrifying certainty, that at 11:59 tonight, your life is over. Not someday way out in the distant future, not maybe, tonight. There's no hidden miracle coming, no last-minute reset, no extra time you can somehow bargain for. You have exactly one day left. Literally one final sunrise, one final sunset, and then everything you are and everything you ever planned to be just completely disappears from the world.
So when that absolute, undeniable truth actually sinks in, what happens to right now? Suddenly, every single sound in your room feels incredibly loud. Every second carries this immense, heavy weight to it. Look around you right now. That half-empty coffee cup on your table, the unreplied text message sitting on your phone, the people you keep putting off calling, all those big dreams you said you'd chase someday, well, suddenly they become painfully, undeniably real. The whole illusion that we have endless time, that is just completely shattered.
So, I've got to ask you, point blank, what would you do if you knew, right this very second, that the clock was officially running out? Who is the absolute first person you would call? What would you finally say to them? What secrets would you just let go and confess? And honestly, most importantly, who would you instantly become if you knew your time was almost gone?
Now, you might think you'd instantly turn into some wise, enlightened philosopher, right? Actually, no. Your brain completely freezes. People generally fall into three distinct reactions when the normal, comfortable structure of their life is ripped open like this. First, there's denial. You try to argue, you demand proof from the doctor, you fight it. Second, you get this terrified, quiet silence, simply because the fear is way beyond words. But then there's the third group, and emotionally, this is the most dangerous one. It's the immediate, crushing realization that you have been wasting your life. Suddenly, every unfulfilled dream is standing right there in front of you, literally like a ghost.
Talk about a massive reality check in that first hour. We constantly contrast yesterday's urgencies with today's reality. Think about it. Yesterday, you were probably totally stressed out about a work email, some ridiculous little argument, what outfit you were going to wear, or overthinking a post on social media. But today, all of that nonsense completely fades away. Your priorities become brutally clear for one simple reason: time is now visible. Every single second becomes a tangible currency that you can actually feel slipping right through your fingers.
Section 1. Stripping away the lies, the interpersonal reckoning. Look, in that initial wave of absolute panic, most people are going to rush straight to their loved ones. They are making those unforgettable, desperate calls to family, to spouses, to friends. And because that impending deadline is hanging over everything, all those everyday lies and daily performances we put on, they just become way too expensive to keep up.
Because when the future is literally erased, the whole performance just stops. People who have spent their entire lives pretending to be strong, they totally drop the act to expose this raw, heartbreaking honesty. They finally just admit, I am not fine, or I was lonely, or I really needed help. People who spent years and years avoiding love would finally say, I should have told you sooner. A 24-hour limit strips away all the pretending, and it makes people devastatingly real.
Moving into Section 2, the weight of regret, the internal reckoning. So once you've made those frantic external connections, we shift inward to what is definitely the heaviest part of this final day, the overwhelming weight of regret. And regret wouldn't hit you as one giant wave, right? It would arrive in these tiny, sharp, incredibly painful little flashes about the life you just didn't live.
And it hits you so incredibly fast. That job you absolutely hated but stayed in anyway. The relationship you knew was over years ago, but you just refused to end. The apology you stubbornly withheld. The creative project you kept telling yourself you'd do next month. The big trip you pushed to next year. The dream you completely buried because you thought, oh, it's just impractical. Suddenly, every single excuse you ever made is just totally impossible to defend.
Just let this sink in for a second. Most people do not die regretting the things they tried. They die regretting the things they postponed. This 24-hour constraint, it isn't just a tragedy. It actually acts as a brutal, entirely unforgiving mirror, showing you absolutely everything you left unfinished inside your own heart.
Now, as the clock keeps ticking down, something really fascinating happens to your ego. It shrinks. Rapidly. Faced with mortality, all the trivial noise of life, the desperate need to impress people, that childish urge to always be right, the fear of embarrassment, the heavy grudges you carry around, it all just melts away. You become brutally, ruthlessly selective with your attention because you realize that absolutely none of that noise can buy you even one more hour.
Think about it. We literally spend years, sometimes decades, building our entire identities around seeking applause. You know, achievements, appearances, status, needing control. But near the end, humans don't crave applause. They crave connection. You just remember the people who made you feel safe, who made you feel seen and loved. Ultimately, you just want to know you actually mattered and that you weren't alone.
And driven by that sudden, desperate need for connection, we'd use those final hours to actively fix our lives. We would apologize without making a single excuse. We'd tell truths that had been hidden for years. And perhaps most importantly of all, we would set down those heavy resentments. Because forgiveness in this final hour, it isn't even about the other person anymore. It's totally about freeing yourself, finally releasing the massive burden of pretending, and just finding some peace rather than revenge before the clock runs out.
But then, the panic sets in over those unfinished dreams, the novel you never wrote, the business you never started, and your mind asks a pretty brutal question. Why on earth did I wait so long? The answer, almost every single time, is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of just not being enough. But at the very end, you realize that fear didn't actually protect you from anything at all. It merely delayed your life.
Section 3. The final evening, slowing down. Okay, as the daylight actually starts to fade, the whole pacing of the day slows way, way down. The sky turns orange, then purple, then completely dark. The entire illusion of endless time is just gone now, and we enter those twilight hours with this very calm, measured rhythm. In these last few hours, every little thing becomes intensely, painfully sensory. A simple final meal, maybe it's a childhood favorite, or hey, maybe it's just fast food eaten in a parked car. It literally tastes like memory. But it's the ordinary sounds that suddenly become so sacred. The hum of the fridge opening, a door clicking shut, the wind blowing right outside your window. These incredibly simple, everyday things become so painfully beautiful because you realize that very soon they are going to just continue on without you. And right there, in that quiet observation, you stumble onto this massive, life-changing truth. The meaning of life was never waiting for you at some giant, spectacular finish line. It wasn't hidden in some massive career achievement. The meaning was in the little things all along. It was scattered throughout this completely ordinary days that we were all just way too busy rushing through.
It's the specific, gentle little details, you know? The way the sunlight hit the kitchen floor this morning, the sound of rain on the roof, a pet just curling up right beside you, a total stranger holding the door open for you. Death has this incredibly cruel way of making us finally appreciate what life was quietly offering us every single day. The ultimate lesson here, it isn't about achieving more. It is quite simply about being completely, 100% present.
Bringing us to Section 4, the ultimate lesson. The present-day pivot. Because look, we're pulling back the curtain on this explainer right now. This isn't just about some hypothetical final day. Not at all. This is an urgent, present-day pivot for the actual reality you are living in right this very second.
The real tragedy isn't just that life ends. No, the tragedy is that so many people discover how precious it is only when time starts running out. Please, do not wait for a deadline to start living honestly. Do not wait for a literal countdown to forgive freely, to let go of the nonsense, and to actually hold on to the people you love. Every single moment you are alive is a gift that absolutely cannot be repeated.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, kind of haunting question to take with you today. What would matter if time suddenly became limited? Look at your life right now. Everything real, everything loving, everything you are just way too distracted to notice today, that is what actually matters. So the real question you have to answer is, why are you waiting to truly live?